What is going on, guys? In today's video I will show you the top 5 best builds in New World Nighthaven. This update has shaken up the meta with the new sets, reworked perks, and some of the wildest artifact synergies we've ever seen. No matter if you're playing wars, OPR, PvE content or the new Nighthaven raid, the meta is completely evolving. So today we are breaking down different builds, from glass cannon assassins to flail tanks, and even godlike healers. I'll walk you through each build's playstyle, their key perks, gear choices, and set combinations so you can get the highest DPS possible and much more. The Firestaff and the Rapier build in Season 10 is the ultimate glass cannon setup, which is a build that trades safety for pure unrelenting power. You're not here to block, heal or support. Your one and only job is to melt everything in your path before it can even touch you. This build thrives in the high endgame content where positioning, timing, and the raw burst will decide the outcome. So let's start with the attributes. The 350 intelligence breakpoint is your golden ticket. It supercharges your elemental ability damage by pushing Firestaff skills like the Fireball and the Meteor Shower into the insane numbers. Even though Rapier scales primarily off the dexterity, we're leveraging that intelligence scaling to squeeze every ounce of hybrid power from both weapons. The 100 dexterity keeps your light attack crit rates high and ensures that your Rapier remains snappy and lethal, while 25 focus gives you a bit of sustain to keep your Firestaff rotation smooth. And then finally, 50 constitution is your insurance policy, just enough to avoid getting deleted by strong AUVs or the Musket crits. Next up, let's take a look at the Rapier's tree. We are using the Blood Rapier, which is the highest single target DPS weapon in New World. Its design rewards precision and aggression, and it's best played with a greedy DPS in mind. You're not support, you're not peeling, but you're hunting kills. Your core abilities is the Flurry, Tondo, and the Flourish and the Finish. Tondo applies your bleed stacks, which is the foundation of the Blood Rapier's damage over time. Then Flurry capitalizes on those stacks by hitting in rapid succession and triggering the Leeching Flurry for sustain. Then Flourish and Finish is your execution tool, by detonating bleeds for massive burst damage. The ideal combo here goes like this. You open with the Tondo, then roll through the precision, then Flurry to stack bleeds and then recover stamina. Whenever your target's health dips, the Flourish and Finish will end the fight instantly. However, if you're running an Evade Rapier with attuned or the elemental perks, then you can skip a second Tondo and just rely on passive bleeds to maintain the uptime. And then switching to the Firestaff, which is your AoV button. It's not about sustained casting, it's about detonating everything on the field. We will open with the Meteor Shower to establish burn and aerial control, then follow with the Fireball, which we aim carefully to hit clustered enemies or stationary bosses, and then finish with a Pillar of Fire for the instant spike. Once your cooldowns are rolling, we swap back to the Rapier and re-engage in melee. Overall, the Firestaff phase is your opener and your safety net, while the melee range will become your suicide. Then, in terms of your armor, you're running a full light. This build is all about maximizing damage output, mobility, and evasion. The light armor gives you the freedom to roll through the attacks and reposition while keeping your elemental scaling at its peak. You want Enchanted Ward and refreshing across all pieces to keep cooldowns rolling and reduce chip damage during the hectic fights. Leeching Flurry is a core perk. It gives you sustain mid-combat and lets you recover just enough health to stay in the fight after trading hits. And then health on the chest or the legs bounce out your base durability, but don't get greedy. Survivability here comes from the precision and movement and not from the armor plates. Then Jewelry completes the setup. On the amulet we prioritize protection, health, and empowered for a solid balance between defense and the damage. Then the ring should run hearty, leeching and either the trust damage or the keen awareness, which both amplify your rapier's killing potential. For your earring, refreshing toast and either empowering toast or the nimble are perfect. Empowering toast keeps your possession uptime rolling, while nimble adds stamina regen for the endless dodges. This is absolutely critical when dancing in and out of melee range. And then for the gems we go with the opals. Overall, the rhythm of this build is all about the tempo and the windows, so you want to burst hard, reposition fast and never linger. When played well, this build turns you into a flame wrath duelist that is striking like lightning, burning like the sun and leaving nothing but the ashes behind. This Lifestaff and Void Gauntlet build is the best healer setup in Season 10. It has become the gold standard for the raids, mutations, and every high-end PvE fight. This is not a passive back row healer, but you are an aggressive support that fuels your group's DPS while keeping everyone alive. With the Sacred Ground, Beacon, and Orb of Protection on the Lifestaff, paired with the Void Gauntlet's Void Blade, Oblivion, and the Essence Rupture, you'll become a healer and DPS in one build. Every strike your team lands will heal them, and every cast will amplify their damage, and every enemy near you will get shredded. Let's take a look at the attributes, and we are running the 350 focus and 150 constitution. That split gives you maximum healing and empowers scaling, while keeping enough HP to survive boss mechanics. This amount of focus will give you a bunch of passives and plus 20% healing output, while the constitution gives us armor for stability. Overall, we can also use focus and constitution food to keep the ratio consistent. Then next we have the life staff tree. The sacred ground keeps your tank alive, and with the fortifying sacred ground, it adds 25% armor while regenerating stamina and the health. Then beacon sticks to the bosses or allies, healing everyone in the range, while the keen beacon boosts critical hit damage, which is a straight up DPS boost. And orb of protection is your quick cast heal and the fortify tool. With a refreshing move on the weapon, its cooldown will melt away. Then core passives are the blissful touch for the healing through the light attacks, then revitalize for the cooldowns and desperate speed for the emergency uptime. And then on the other hand, for the Void Gauntlet, this is where the build truly comes alive. The Void Blade will convert your attacks into melee swings by applying Disintegrate and reducing enemy armor by up to 30%, which becomes a raid-wide damage boost. Then Oblivion will create a 15% empower for your team and will apply Weaken to the enemies inside, which will cut their damage output. And then Essence Rupture grants a lifesteal to everyone hitting your marked target, but turning offense into sustain. The key passives is the Leeching Agony, Refreshing Precision, which is an ultimate that drops once in a while and AoE heal as you attack. Next up, we want to go full light armor for the 30% healing bonus and the maximum mobility. Each piece should have enhanced ward and refreshing. Aim for fortify sacred ground and a keen beacon somewhere in your setup if they're not already on your weapon. Then attuned leather pants artifact is perfect for the attribute optimization, and silken lidum will add valuable crit synergy. If you're gearing up, then 750 faction set with the health, refreshing and enchanted ward is an excellent starter option. And then for the gems, we use diamond in your life staff for the bonus healing and the damage at full HP. It will stay active almost constantly thanks to our sustain. And then the Void Gauntlet will run Opal Rune Glass to scale its damage while dodging or under stamina pressure. For armor, we wanna swap in mutation-specific elemental wards, depending on the dungeon type, so Angry Earth, Corrupted, Ancient, and etc. And then for jewelry, we follow the Holy Trinity, so Amulet with health plus protection, then the Ring with the Hearty and the Sacred, and Earring with the Refreshing Toast and Empowering Toast. And finally, let's take a look at the gameplay rotation. We open every fight with Oblivion under your melee stack. This gives us immediate empower and starts the weaken debuff. Then we follow that up with the Essence Rupture on the boss, so your DPS will self-heal through the burst windows. Then we swap to the life staff, drop the sacred ground beneath the tank, then fire an orb of protection through the group, and tag the boss with a beacon. Once healing zones are layered, you can go back to the gauntlet, so activate Void Blade, then swing to maintain Disintegrate stacks, and refresh Oblivion as soon as it drops. Overall, this build will constantly cycle between the offense and defense, so your main goal is empowering your team, shredding armor and keeping everyone alive without ever losing tempo. This is the explosive trapper build, the blunderbuss and a musket, which is a setup that looks chaotic, feels insane and somehow manages to balance pure fun with a high-end performance. It's a hybrid burst build that rewards precision, timing and a touch of madness. The concept is simple: control the fight, explode everything on the screen, and keep yourself alive through the self-healing and the smart positioning. So let's start with the attributes. The 350 intelligence breakpoint will supercharge all of your explosion-based abilities, so everything from the splitting grenade to the powder burn will scale beautifully with the intelligence. Then 100 dexterity gives your musket that needed crit and reload speed, while 75 constitution keeps you from getting one-shot when things get messy. Overall, this build is a glass cannon but not fragile. This stat line will give you just enough breathing room to drop your bombs and roll out. Then for the weapons, and the musket is your main hand here, built around the traps, burn damage and the cooldown cycling. You're using the powder burn, power shot and the traps. Powder burn is key, because this build scales off elemental damage, and the fire dot triggers multiple passives that enhance our overall DPS. Power shot is your finisher, it's clean, fast and hits like a truck. The traps are what defines this build though. They will bleed enemies for 16% weapon damage over 5 seconds, and this bleed time is nearly permanent. Plus every trap will give you you acceleration and the movement speed, up to 33% haste, so you're constantly sprinting between engages. And then next up we have the blunderbuss. You're running as that shrapnel blast, the claw shot and the splitting grenade. Shrapnel blast and splitting grenade will form your explosive combo. If you time it right, both will detonate almost simultaneously and chunk enemies for massive damage. The claw shot is your control in the gap closer. It lets you zip into the melee range, set traps under enemies, and chain explosions before they even know what happened. The combination of these skills is what makes this build feel so alive. If you can nail it when every explosion goes off sync, then you don't see just numbers, you will see entire health bars disappear. In terms of gear, light armor is non-negotiable. You will need that 20% damage modifier and the freedom to dodge through the danger. You want to prioritize refreshing and enchanted ward across your set, and then add in perks like the leashing shrapnel blast, keen awareness, and the health round out sustain. Then winged leather boots are incredible here, by extending your haste duration and giving that 10% damage while hasted. The synergy between the accelerated traps, dodge haste, and these boots will turn you into a blur of explosions and the gunfire. And then for the gems we're using 2 rubies on both the weapons. Then for the jewelry, you want to aim for divine and the health on the amulet, with shirking empower or protection. Then on the ring, the hearty, fire damage and the leeching will fit perfectly, amplifying both your musket burns and the blunderbuss detonations. And then the earring should have refreshing toast, regeneration and the nimble. This will give you constant stamina and potion uptime, while keeping you alive when the screen fills with chaos. Overall, your rotation is a mix of a setup and a burst. You can start by throwing your trap through the target and then apply bleed. Then follow that up with the powder burn for the fire dot, then switch to the blunderbuss. Then fire your azot shrapnel blast immediately. Then throw the splitting grenade and detonate with the powder shot, or another trap if they're still standing. If you time it right, all of these explosions will hit in the same second, and that's when you see 10,000 plus damage. Between cooldowns, you can use the claw shot to reposition or chase fleeing targets, and doubling down from the blunderbuss chi will help to reset those key abilities, so you can repeat your combo much more faster. The sword and shield with Warhammer build is the definition of immovable object paired with unstoppable force. This build turns you into the raid anchor, the living wall that not only holds the line, but smashes everything that stands in front of it. In Season 10, tanking is not just about soaking hits, it's about control, so dictating the pace, locking enemies in place, and making every swing count. And with this setup, you're going to feel like a walking earthquake wrapped in a plate steel. For attributes, we're running 300 strength and 200 constitution. This means you've hit the strength threshold for the maximum melee power, while keeping enough constitution to shrug off punishment that would otherwise kill most players in a second. The 300 strength breakpoint will give you that bonus to the heavy attack damage, which is perfect since both these weapons will thrive on big hits. And then the 200 constitution grants us 10% physical and elemental power, which is the baseline for a good tank status build. Next up, for the sword and shield tree, the main abilities is the upheaval, the shield rush and defender's resolve. Upheaval will give you explosive burst and the stagger, which is perfect for opening fights or punishing bosses in mid-animation. Then shield rush is your go-to engage and debuff tool. It applies weaken, fortify and helps to keep threats rolling. And then Defender's Resolve is the cornerstone of the build. You pop it at the start of big boss mechanics, or when your healers will start checking their phone mid-fight. It grants 30% damage reduction and taunts everything nearby. You can stack it with a tower shield and you're basically a walking fortress, so nothing can get through you unless you let it. Important perk here is the Fortifying Shield Rush. If it's not on your shield, then get it on your chest piece, as that 25% fortify is not negotiable for the endgame tanking. And then on the other hand, for the Warhammer tree, we're taking Armor Breaker, the Shockwave and Clear Out. Armor Breaker is exactly what it sounds like, a huge single target smash that strips 15 to 20% of the enemy's armor. Bosses will hate it and DPS will love it. Shockwave gives you aerial control. You slam the ground and everything gets staggered, and they will look at you like you just ruined their day. Then Clear Out is your spacing tool, letting you reposition mobs and reassess control over messy pulls. Together, these three skills will keep the battlefield under control. With passives, we focus on the Aftershock, Resurgence and the Power Through the Pain, as they will give you stamina back, add healing, and reward you for taking hits like a champ. Now for the armor, we go full heavy. Season's 10 meta will favor tanks who can stand through the dot phases and elemental bursts, and heavy armor gives you the effective HP to do it. You want to aim for Enchanted Ward and elemental aversion on every piece, with health or refreshing as your flex perk. If you're running mutated dungeons, then keep of course different ward sets, so Angry Earth, Corrupted and Ancient wards are your lifeline. And don't forget about the soul heart on your void dark plate chest. The stamina and healing boosts under 50% HP will turn near deaths into the clutch recoveries. Then on jewelry, we prioritize a protection perk on your amulet, nature or void depending on the dungeon, plus divines and the health. For your ring, the blood drinker or the slash damage with the hardy and the leeching is perfect. And then on the rings, fortifying toast, refreshing toast and regeneration are the holy trinity of sustain. For your heart rune, the stalwart form is the go-to. You can pop it mid-fight to gain fortify and stabilize during chaotic moments, or just swap to the divine form if you need AoE control for the mobs. Then gems will matter here too. Onyx is the sword and hammer for the open world. You can swap to the elemental wards for mutated expeditions. Daunting gems are must-have, and for consumables, the ward potions, honing stones and the food. So you always should have the strength or constitution meal ready. And then finally, your rotation is super simple. Start with the defender's resolve to grab aggro, then shield rush in for beacon, then upheaval for the tread, then swap to the warhammer, then shockwave the group, then armor break the elite, then clear out and rinse and repeat. Have you ever made a build so filthy that people actually log off mid-fight? Well, that's exactly what this Greatsword and the hatchet combo does in Season 10. It's fast, it's ruthless, and it turns you into a walking blender with a dead fish. You're not surviving, but thriving off the chaos. Every swing, every dash and every hit will push the enemy closer to uninstall the game, and it works both for PvE and PvP. It's built to shred through the healers, dodge through the damage, and turn the battlefield into a highlight reel. Let's start with the attributes. The 350 dexterity breakpoint is the magic number. It unlocks the extra crit damage and faster burst potential. The 150 strength is not just a filler. It adds the raw base power that pushes both the Greatsword and the hatchet's damage to disgusting levels. You get constant crits from the dex scaling and heavy hitting multipliers from the strength. The 25 focus is your sustain buffer, keeping stamina and the regen flowing, while the light armor ensures that you can reposition faster than anyone can react. Overall, you are a duelist and an assassin rolled into one, so no wasted stats and no dead weight. Let's take a look at the Greatsword 3. This is your executioner's tool. Relentless Rush, Roaring Rupture and the Steadfast Strike are the three core skills, and together they make you a moving storm. Relentless Rush is your engage and disengage button, by letting you dash through the targets, deal massive cleave, and reset positioning instantly. Roaring Rupture is your taunt, fortify and the grid generation all at once. You slam the ground, create shockwaves, and watch the screen fill with stagger icons. It's not just control, it's dominance. Steadfast Strike ties it all together with the sustain and the cooldown recovery. You pull enemies in, then deal double hits and heal through the pressure like a vampire that refuses to die. You compare this with the passives from Defiance Tree. Keep your Fortify uptime rolling, maintain the Onslaught stance for bonus damage, and never let your grit drop too low. And then on the other hand, switching to the hatchet, and this turns the tempo up to 11. Berserker, Raging, Torrent and the Social Distancing are your tools of destruction. You can pop Berserker and you instantly gain movement speed, damage and the self-healing. Then Raging Torrent is your burst. It will give you 5 lightning fast hits that erase low HP targets and activate the Moonstone Ruined Glass or the Opal bonuses for massive scaling. And then Social Distancing gives you that slick gap closer and safety valve, letting you kite when the cooldowns are down, or punish people trying to escape. The synergy between the Berserker and the Raging Torrent is insane. You pop Torrent right as your Moonstone triggers, and you'll delete anything standing in front of you before the cooldowns even blink. Then for armor, we stay with full light. You want the dodge roll, the agility and the bonus 20% damage modifier. That makes this build hit like a truck. We run Enchanted Ward and refreshing on every piece to keep cooldowns low and your uptime high. If you can get slash conditioning or the freedom, then mix it in. And that's even better, as you will need that CC resistance when charging into the clumps. Then the Creed boots are the secret weapon for this build, which will give us bonus crit damage and weaken effects on the backstabs by turning every flank into a lethal ambush. And then for the gems we go with the opals. Next up, your jewelry should focus on aggression. On amulet, get divine, health and shirking and power for the full offense and the full uptime. Then the ring runs hearty, leeching and the slash damage or the keen awareness, whatever boosts your crit consistency the most. Then for the earring, refreshing toast, fortifying toast and regeneration gives you the sustain without slowing you down. And then the heart rune, the stalwart form is all the way to go, as it gives you fortify, great stability and pure momentum in chaotic fights. Then the rotation is where the build shines. We open with the Roaring Rupture to gain fortify and set the stage, then dash in with the Relentless Rush. Heavy cancel into the steadfast check to heal and reset, and then instantly swap to the hatchet. Activate Berserker, then Raging Torrent for your burst, then Social Distancing to chase or the kite, and then go back to the Greatsword for the finisher. Overall, every skill here is to pressure, and every dodge leads to another punish.